Good morning. Good morning.
Good
How
morning.
is everybody on this fine
Tuesday,
GPU morning?
Tuesday.
It is. It's a rock and roll Tuesday.
Yep.
Gonna be fun.
Good morning. How you
That's
doing? I couldn't find my unmute
Good.
button.
Boy, a week from today is going to be the last day of September. We'll be in October. Can you believe it? So,
No.
so that will be the end of the quarter too. So next week will be
And
interesting too.
I pay to the foo who don't get on
You're
the
pitted.
bus. I
That's
pay to the foo who don't get on the bus today
Good
by
morning.
okay.
October 1st.
Okay, Mr. A team.
Dun, 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 dun,
I used to love
dun,
that
dun.
show as a kid, man. I
Uh,
love that show. Who couldn't love Mr.
did you
T?
did you see the remake with Bradley
Uh-uh.
Cooper and
No.
what's his name? It was actually really good. It was funny.
That's that's amazing because usually like the retakes are always horrible, but
I
not
like
always.
I
Not
like
always. Not always. Okay. Let's get rolling. Keep this party rolling. All right. Yesterday, Dow was up. NASDAQ was up 0.7. S&P up 0.44. So we continue to rock on these markets. I think people are still digesting a little bit of the rate cuts. I think, in AI, is the AI boom still going to roll? And we really haven't had too much news. Today we'll have the S&P PMI data. And I think a bunch of Fed people, including Powell, are going to speak all over the country. Micron and AutoZone will have their earnings reports today. And then we're still waiting, I think, right now for the end of the week when we get our final call of GDP second quarter readings. And then, of course, the PCE, the Fed's favorite inflation tool, which I don't know why, but they don't, that doesn't seem to matter to them. That's on Friday. Today we're looking at kind of a flat open so far. Okay, with futures and Dow just kind of sitting there. And what else we got here? Open end. Nvidia and open end. Oh, $100 billion deal. Chip rally. Okay, so looks like we're gonna have a chip rally. Last minute negotiations. $100 billion open AI Nvidia deal. So we'll see how those stocks are doing today. Okay, so let's move off of this. Let's go to our watch list here for swing trading. And we'll go back up and here's this week's list, okay? But we still have this one open, this investable one on Berkshire. And normally we don't have investments on here, but it was such an example we wanted to put it on. This is where we just bought it, the 200-day simple moving average to see on this Berkshire what would be happening. And so far, on the investable one, still in up about 1.42%, $690 if you had bought a 100-lot share. When we come down, we had our watch list for potential swing trades. The one in white, we didn't get in. The one in gray, they did hit. And mostly when I go and I put together my list, I have a system that I do, and I put together a list on the weekend. I share it with you guys Sunday night. And I look at what happens. It opens on Monday, which way the market's going to go. And the market's always very vulnerable on Monday because of all the orders that pile up over the weekend. And then I try to get things on sale. So if I see something I like, I'll try to put in a buy limit low, and I go back and I look in past history of the charts. I'll show you. And if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay. So even though I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we talked about core, we just 8 on the list basically. Only 3 hit, and these are the 3 I'll play the rest of the week. Okay. So I don't need to be in every single stock and chase every single thing. Now you can see like on some of them, Skyworks went straight up, so it didn't even come down and try a buy limit, but it's up 5%, but I'm not in. Okay. Big deal. I didn't make it. Berkshire did not come down and hit my limit, so it's up, but I didn't get in. Okay. And then the others, like Keysight, didn't get in that. That was down. That was down. CoreWeave hit a pretty good one on that one. And we'll take a look at these charts in a second. Then you go down, we got our under the 200 list. And again, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the under 200 list. And out of that, only 40%, had something that interested me enough where it actually came down and hit, even though all of them are up on the under the 200. Okay. So you can't go back and say, oh, I should have done this, should have, would have, could have. You got to stick with your plan. Okay. Like on AJG, it's up a little bit, but I'm waiting for the 50 confirmation. Didn't have it. These two hit buy limits. This one I stayed out of because it was a Bitcoin play. It's a Bitcoin treasury company. Okay. And Bitcoin was down yesterday. Just didn't want to play it. This one hit the intermediate resistance level. So this one is out for me. Okay. So you go and you don't have to look at these lists and buy every time. You don't have to buy it all if you don't want, or you just pick one and you play one. You don't have to be, 40 stocks in, 20 stocks in, unless you have all day to sit around and play with it. I don't. Okay. And you can be successful, in one day just on two stocks. You could, if you did 100 orders, and again, paper trade, $432. Okay. And this whole system that we show with this, what Kerry does, what Trent does, is $60 a month. But we're showing you constantly, you know, even up in this area, here's just on these, 100 lot shares. I know you can't all afford 100 lot shares, but that's just the normal lots. I just put it in. Here you go. Here's my 2% down limit. Okay. And it tells you exactly, where that would be and what price that would be at that I would get out on a 2% down limit. Okay. So my rules are there. I follow my rules. I keep the emotion totally out of it. And if you do that, and if you're successful, you're going to be more successful probably in the long run than you are going to be non-successful if you follow your plan. Okay, let's go take a look at some charts. And yesterday, let's pull this one up. There we go. The S&P 500, nice. Just continue up with our little long bull run since April. Again, the S&P, we're going to open up just a little bit lower than the Bollinger Band, but we're following right on the Bollinger Band. I mean, you can swing trade the indexes too. In my kind of system, come up, get in. I would have got in probably go down. I get confirmation on the MACD. You can be writing this up right now. No, there's no intermediate resistance level. You have sell orders up here, but again, we're just plodding along. Buy the dip kind of mentalities, kind of back in the market. On the Dow does have intermediate resistance, and that's right where we've been for the last 4 days. So the 9's coming up. We look and see if it does that swing back down. So far, not. Okay. Just slow, steady moves up on these Qs. And again, a lot of these are market weighted. Okay, here's the Qs. Like the Mag 7s, top 10 maybe out of the Qs. These are 100 stocks, so market weighted, high tech. They're 50% of the market. So, less than 10% of this index runs, or it is like 50% of the index is 10 stocks. And that's where you're seeing it. You're seeing the mags, seeing the AI plays. NVIDIA especially is huge in here. NVIDIA is big in the S&P. And then we talked about, these passive investing on the 401ks. Every week this money's coming in. They go put it in an index. I'm an index guy, and this money comes in like clockwork every Friday or Monday or whenever people get paid. And I have to go buy the index. If the NVIDIA is 8% of the S&P, I buy it. Keep buying it, keep buying it. More money comes in. It doesn't matter what the news is. It doesn't matter what the valuation is. It doesn't matter what the economic reports are. It is buy, buy, buy. That makes the market cap even larger on NVIDIA until something happens. And I'm just going to pick on NVIDIA. Something happens, the production failure or something, or, regulation comes out and NVIDIA can't sell to this or that or this. And then the stock goes down. Stock goes down. The market cap goes down. I'm in an S&P 500 now. Instead of 8% of my S&P 500 goes to NVIDIA, 4%. So I got to sell off 4% of NVIDIA. That's how that works. We haven't got to that point yet, but we've seen it in history that it can happen. Okay. Let's look at gold. Gold continues to run up. Look at this. I mean, we're just keep rolling, keep rolling. Here's where we're going to open. Here's where we're going to open as of about an hour ago. So we keep rolling up on gold. So if you're in gold, that's good. Silver, And why do people go to gold and silver? It's a store of value. You know, here's silver. Okay. And here we are right up to where sell orders are, but we're still rising right along the upper Bollinger Band. So silver's been a good trade, all the way back from when it hit above the 9 right here. Had some confirmation on the MACD, at the 34.61 level. Now we're at 40. Okay. So we're up $5.50 on that. We've been talking about gold and silver for weeks, just putting them up on the charts. You can take a look, trade it per your plan or to your investment plan. We look at Bitcoin. Look at it every day. Bitcoin's down back in the zone between the 110 and 115. Okay, we've been here before, but it's really been kind of bouncing between these zones, and especially in the last, probably month. Oscillators are now turned around a little bit, but we have getting a little bit of a bump on the RSI. And again, it's plays in here before. We're under the 9, we're under the 50, getting a little bit today, a little bit of momentum today, but we're right in the middle of this zone again. Support, resistance, 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 resistance. So we'll see if it gets popped back up. When that happens, there's a lot of stocks tied to Bitcoin, these treasury companies, these ETFs that just follow what it does. So that's going to affect those. IBIT, same thing. Okay. Stock went, we talked about yesterday, some of these are on my list. I said I'm not going to deal with them because Bitcoin went down. When Bitcoin goes down, they drag these others down, just like IBIT. Okay. So we looked yesterday. We talked about this company quite a bit last week, and I said, we're looking for a swing. This is similar scientific. Came down, hit support. We went down, and I said, okay, here we go. We're swinging, and we talked about it all week. This one popped down, and we said, look, it's come back up, and we're starting to see a cross of the MACD, a cross of the stochastic, upward trend of the RSI, and then boom, what happened here? Well, another company, ASST, is going to buy this company out. This is a Bitcoin treasury company, but they also do scientific equipment. So they have a viable business. They put a lot of their treasury into Bitcoin. What happened is the price of this stock was so, I'll just say low enough that the other company, which was owned by Vivek Ramaswamy, saw that they have X amount of Bitcoin in there, and it was undervalued. So they could buy this company, okay, for a, and as of close Friday, that closed at 28.38, and yesterday they made an offer of 92.50 a share. Okay, so from 28.28 to 92.58 a share. I actually bought into this last week, and then I had this nice surprise yesterday. I'm like, why is this going up? And so Vivek is going to buy it for 92.50 a share. And why is that? Because he's buying the Bitcoin in their treasury at a discount. And here's ASST, and this is Strive. This is Vivek's company. So their stock price went down. Their stock price is at 410. So it's an all stock deal. They're going to give you, I think, 22 shares for every one share you have of similar, up to 92.50 at the time of the close. So again, what I look at this as is, okay, now we've got a whole new different world in Bitcoin treasury companies, that companies now, because of this, they're going to go out and they're going to start looking for undervalued companies that have Bitcoin in their treasuries that they can get at a discount. So if I buy your stock at $10 a share and you have a bunch of Bitcoin, I calculate out what the Bitcoin price is that I'm getting it at. And let's just say it's at $90 a share. So Bitcoin's trading now at 115. Okay, so I'm buying that much Bitcoin, $90 a share, and I'm getting it, at 115. So you got to go and look at what are the other little treasury companies looking like. This is the Jack Mallers one that's going to merge with 21. Okay, CEP. See, that came down. It stayed above the 200. It stayed above the 9. Okay, a little bit of a bump here on this, but this is a SPAC right now, but it's going to merge with 21. Okay, the other company that Jack Mallers is on board with. CORZ. This is another Bitcoin mining, or not mining, treasury company, Core Scientific. You see what happened to it yesterday. So the anticipation, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, is that you're going to start seeing more of these buyouts of some of these companies. Mara is a mining company, but they hold on to their Bitcoin too. You see what happened. And Bitcoin was down yesterday, remember. And you're seeing these little treasury companies, Galaxy. You see these little treasury companies had that pop yesterday. because of what happened with similar. So these are kind of things when you see them, you want to make note of them to see, if possibly there's anything else out there. Here's quick spark. Okay, it's right up against resistance, but you can see something was happening. This is when Bitcoin was going down. You're seeing this kind of trend in a lot of these stocks. Hut. I mean, there's 160 of these stocks you can go through. There's Hut. Okay. So again, you're watching those, and there might be another similar out there at some point. All right, MicroStrategy. Here's the biggest Bitcoin treasury company. It went down with Bitcoin. Okay, no one's going to go buy out MicroStrategy, in my opinion. They just have, 700,000 Bitcoin. It's just not going to happen. So this will just keep going with the price of Bitcoin. All right, NVIDIA. NVIDIA had a nice pop up yesterday, right up to resistance. You see, we've been there before. Had a nice one. We're going to open a little bit lower. Got some nice volume for 3 days, continuously up volume. Still, we got to get past this resistance, but, it can wake up and you can hit the stop orders up here at 188.46 if you want to do NVIDIA. Meta popped up above resistance. We're going to open right back about at it. You can see this 9. We've watched these 9s before come up right at resistance. Now, is it going to head back down? Or we're going to get something to keep it popped up. But we've been up here trying to ride along the Bollinger, but we've had, 4 red closes in a row, and now we're right back on resistance. Starting to see a little roll on the MACD. So again, use these indicators as your gauges as how well your plane's flying. And right now, it looks like the momentum's heading down a little bit on Meta chart wise. Google or Microsoft right along resistance. Okay, it's kind of waiting for something to happen. Google had that nice run up, and then right at resistance. Resistance is right here where this purple line is where we're going to open, and that's where we've been for the past 6 days. Got a little bit above for the sell orders. Kerry, seeing the MACD kind of flatten out, it's kind of curving over. So, we're coiling here. We'll see which way. Here's your 9 coming up right along resistance. Is it going to do one of these, or is it going to be able to pop it up past? What do we got ahead of us? We've got GDP, and we've got the Fed favorite inflation number. So I don't know if that's going to be the news to do it. Amazon. Okay. Amazon back down right at resistance. You got the 9 coming down. You right on the 50. Now, luckily, you can go back on history and see an Amazon that has a pretty good support level at the 50, and that's where we are right now. However, the MACD is not looking good. Stochastic's not looking all that good either on Amazon. Tesla. A lot of you guys like Tesla. Tesla's right up. Here's your resistance, and here's where we're going to open just a little bit above it. We're on the inside of the Bollinger Band now, so that's good. But we need to pop past this resistance, and if you do, your sell orders are in about 454.81. I always like to swing trading wise, and I like to get the more value out of here and try to get in on these down here, like we did on similar, and then ride it up and then see if we can get another one. The 9 could come up and provide some support. It's just not there right now. But doesn't mean that news can't come out. Elon Musk does something, it goes up or it goes down. Palantir. And then we'll get to some of that. Palantir right up again. Here's your resistance level. We've been up here. Resistance and sell order resistance right here. We got a lot of resistance, including the Bollinger Band. We're still okay on the MACD, but again, we had a nice little pop up here, but now we're hitting resistance. Going to the watch list, Berkshire. Here's where we got in for the investment and the swing trade. Here's where we got out on the swing trade as it came back down. Now we have it back on the swing trade list. We're still above the 200 for the investment. And here's where we got in. So there's our gain right from here to here. And we still don't have a candle close over the 9 yet. It's going straight sideways. We do have a little bit of an upward tick on the 9. I want to see confirmation down here with the MACD crossing over. We don't have that yet. If we have that, we might start being able to see Berkshire go up. At that point, it become a better swing trade candidate. CRCL, we're up about 2.15% on this. So remember, yesterday the market was down. Here's where we started from Friday. I said we're right on the Bollinger Band. We want to go back and finally get a spot, with the market coming down. set a buy limit somewhere down, and if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, and so I went down and I put a buy limit right on this line. Look here. Look at all that support, resistance, 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 came down, support, resistance, came down, support, put it right there, wick down, caught it. That's how you do it. Comes back up, okay? And you're up about 2.15%. So now you put in your stops below and you won't lose unless unless we open up way down and it wicks down. But right now you got a 9 and a 20 right here as support. And again, this would be something for me because the IRL has come out on Circle. I'd probably be getting out today, which is what I will do if I get a little pop up. Circle, IBM. This was a nice one yesterday. IBM did not come down and hit anything. I was like trying to, well, it actually did come down and hit. Sorry. IBM was in a nice run up. Okay. Right on the inside of the Bollinger Band. We had the oscillators looking up. We had a nice big volume on Friday. So on IBM, you just want to make sure you try to get it when it comes back in and hits inside the Bollinger like it's done before. And so on these with the momentum, you can put it at a little higher. We put it right where it opened on Friday. It came down, ticked it, came back up here. Now you're ahead on IBM by about 2%. So now you put your stop limits in or your trailing stops, and you'll have a winner. But I think IBM still looks pretty strong. You look at the oscillators, and it's doing pretty well. And then CoreWeave. We talk a lot about CoreWeave because it's one of Kerry's favorite stocks. CoreWeave, we've come up, we got above the Bollinger, and then we started pulling inside the Bollinger, inside, inside, inside. And so you can see here's this other line you see of like defense here. And so if you put in, a buy, and again, it's right above where support is. It came down, actually hit support, hit your buy limit, and then pop back up yesterday right to the Bollinger Band. Got a lot of nice momentum. You still have good volume. So now you're up on CoreWeave. This is about a 10%, over 10% move. But again, if this wouldn't have come down and hit that wick, okay, then you would have missed this whole thing. And then you got to say to yourself, okay, I didn't hit it. I tried what I do. This is my process. I move on to the next one. When they do hit, you feel like a genius. When they don't hit, you feel bad, but you got to let that feeling go. And what else we got? Oh, let's see. Coinbase. Coinbase not getting into. That's because I wasn't going to get anything on crypto yesterday with Bitcoin going down. But again, you probably could have come in and hit this one, but I just didn't want to do it on Coinbase because of the keys. Here's one. Here's one where this is where I put it right here to buy, and this one didn't wick down and didn't hit it. Okay, so I just missed. It went back a couple days where it opened. I wanted to be above support, but it just didn't come down. Now we've got the intermediate resistance level on, which is my signal to get out. So I'll be getting out of keys today. But this is one. If I was in it, I'm not in it. But if I would have hit and gone back up, then I would be probably getting out today because of this line. But it didn't hit. Okay, so then keys went up. All right, you missed it. All right, so that's life in the Serengeti when you're trading. Under the 200, FTNT. Again, we only got into 2. Again, you go back and you look at where you can put it. You come trying to come back inside the Bollinger. I don't like buying outside the Bollinger, but if it wants to come back in, if we can hit it, pop back up. You do something like this, you're up about 3.5% on Fortinet. Again, check your oscillators. Make sure your oscillators are good. Had a nice big bump yesterday, on Friday. On volume came back to normal. And then the other one we got into was Starbucks. Again, I said I don't like their coffee, but when you trade, it doesn't matter what they do. You're looking at the charts. Starbucks came back down. You go back and you look at, okay, where's a line? Right here. Comes back down, pops it, comes back up, and then you're right at the 20 again. So you could technically, because you're at resistance, get out at the 20. You'd be out at Starbucks a little under 2%. But it's paper trade. We're going to ride it because we got this nice momentum going on the MACD and same on the RSI. Now it's not where I want it to be, but it's heading in the right direction. So Starbucks, we'll see. Put your stops in. I come back here. Where would I put a stop where I might sell it? Keep my profits right here. Look at that. So put it in right there. We'll see. Maybe it wicks down. You get stopped out. If you don't want to get stopped out, you can put it down even lower. Come down here where this opened here. And right above you'll still have a little profit, but you get out and you keep your profit. The whole idea of swing trading is to make money, is not to gamble with it. It's not an investment. I don't care that I hate Starbucks coffee. I'm not going to pay $10 for a cup of coffee. Doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what this chart's telling me to do at this point. It's telling me I'm up. It's telling me now be defensive and get out. Where am I going to get out if it comes down, or am I going to ride it up? So, which is what I will hope it's doing. It's going to ride up, and I have that hope based on the fact that my oscillators look like that's what's going to happen. Starbucks. Uh, a couple others. I'll roll over. So here, Sprouts market. We've been looking at Sprouts. Sprouts is right down. Okay, 2 days now on support. So this is one you just put on your list and you wait. Oscillators don't say anything. You want to see if this is going to slide down support. Wait for this 9 to come back down. We turn our momentum around. That may be the point where we can start looking at Sprout as a potential swing trade. Right now, it's not, but it's on the list. These are how you got to go forward and look at things. You set your list up so you're looking forward to see where these things are, so that when you catch it down here, and we're not trying to play the upside up here on the resistance. We're playing support, trying to get to resistance. And what else I got? Oh, a couple others. AI. After AI on the talk with NVIDIA and everything today. AI, we brought this up last week. It's above the 9, it's above the 20, playing between the 20 and the upper Bollinger Band, but you are below the 200. Okay, but it has a little room to run if you want to put that on your list. XYZ. Oops, hold on. XYZ. Block basically. It's above its 50, above the 20, above the 9. This could have a nice little run up. You got support or resistance up here, 80 and change up here, but it's above the 200. You're starting to see a turnaround on the MACD and the stochastic. So keep that on your list as potential turnaround swing. And I'm trying to see what else we got. I put this one down for some reason. I forget what. Oh, waste management. Yeah, again, waste management. I'm waiting. Came down, hit support. Now it's not across the 9 yet. But these are the kind of setups I want to see. Now it's under the 200. If we can get going and head up, you do have some sell orders right here at the 20. But again, these are the kind of setups I go look for to see if we can get that turn, because we're looking for the swing and swing back up. And we're not there yet, but these are the kind that you put on a list and you watch. Okay. I try to get them down here so we can swing them up. I don't try to get them over here, okay, where the reward is less and the risk is higher. And you can see what happened on this side. So I move it over. We get in. You got momentum 1, 2, 3, 4 days up, then droop. Okay. I want to catch it down here as much as possible and ride that up and then get out. So that's what I'm looking for. I don't get in on everything that's on the list. I try to bargain shop and get it lower. If I don't get it and it keeps going up, so be it. You got to get rid of that attitude. You got to get rid of that emotion and just follow your plan. And you only have to do 1 or 2 a week, if even. Okay. And most great traders, they don't trade all that often. But when they do trade, they trade good ones, and their success rate is 80, 85%. So that's all we're looking for here. Trent, over to you, Mr. I pity the foo.
Hey, who?
Is that
I
like Winnie the Pooh?
No, Mark, it's not like Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
It's today I was reading the article on OpenAI's deal with NVIDIA, the $100 billion deal, 4 to 5 million GPU data center out of, I believe, Abilene, Texas, that they're going to build. And it reminds me of, and then I think about, oh, Intel just, or NVIDIA just did a deal with Intel. Just what, last week? Yeah, last week. So you're looking at this sort of this chain reaction that's starting to happen. Think of NVIDIA as the sun. There's only one sun in our universe. There's only one place where we're getting energy, power, and then Mars and the Earth and every other planet is data center development. and OpenAI just became Mars, closest to the sun. And this deal is, to me, is it's like this narrowing effect on the market. And more is going to slide, more companies that are related to data center development, if it's the actual data center alone or offering cloud services to use GPUs, they're only getting GPUs from one place, and that's NVIDIA. And this is really skewing the market, which can be good, but it also can be bad. And so you got to sort of balance this act that's going on. Today or yesterday, NVIDIA was up 4%. The S&P was up, what was it up here? Basically almost a 0.5%. Not really big affected by this deal, but it's the wave or the wave that this is creating. And when I look at the S&P, just to give you some option boundaries today, the flip line, this is when gamma goes negative, which is bad for the S&P or markets in general, is around 55.72. The support level where the options market is pricing and support is at 6,600, and that's a move up from yesterday. And then the resistance level is 6,750, which is a move up of about 50 points. So we're seeing more room on the upside potential here. And depending on what happens this week with economic data, which I don't know if that's going to be a big effect, but as we come into the close of the month, the close of the quarter, I think you're going to continue to see a push possibly higher this week, because you think about it, if you're a money manager, you want good quarterly numbers. So you're pushing money into this market. But remember, since April, you went from a lot of cash to deploying that cash, and now you've got probably 15, maybe 20% of your cash still cash in hand that you can push this index or indexes or your portfolio up into the quarter so you can book good quarterly numbers. So overall, the option market is saying bullish, positive at this point. Where I am I'm blown away at this. So I talked about 3 weeks ago, I started talking about Cipher Energy, CIFR, and it was right around $7. This is a Bitcoin mining company who's doing the same thing as Iran, but they're probably about a year and a half, 2 years behind Iran's move from Bitcoin mining to data center development. But since then, it's basically today will open at $15 a share. It's doubling. Why is that happening? And I believe this is happening. It's going to happen with other Bitcoin mining companies. Is that because of these deals that are being made by, say, NVIDIA and OpenAI, with NVIDIA and the Elon Musk center that he has in Memphis, his data center in Memphis, which is now, I believe, up to 1 million GPUs. The more and more we see this push to data center development and need, the more and more demand on NVIDIA, the more and more of these Bitcoin mining companies are going to get a shot at this business as they convert. Because think about it, they got the infrastructure, they got the cooling, the heating, the energy, and they got the GPUs. And so all they're switching out is maybe the type of server that these things are running in.
What
And so we're going to
infrastructure?
see what's that?
What infrastructure?
What infrastructure? What do you mean?
Well, you need power, you need energy. They're putting all these
Well,
things
these guys
up.
got it. These guys
Got
already
it?
have it established.
Yeah, where?
Well, how do you think they're running their centers now?
Well, they're running off the existing power now, and they're buying up nuclear,
True.
old nuclear, golf ball
So they
plant.
got the
That's
power
what they're
and they
doing.
have the ability to scale up the power. They have this ability, they already have it in place. They have the foundation in place. They're already scaling. They have the ability to scale up. If it is doing a deal like the Meta did with who is it here? Energy corporation to develop a power plant as well for their new $10 billion data center in Louisiana. The same thing is going to happen as well. So these data centers that are established have the infrastructure already. They're making the conversion. What is going to be the theory, the constraint on all these things? Energy, of course,
Right.
but that they are already ahead of the game versus somebody who's just breaking ground. So what I'm expecting is to see more and more of these Bitcoin mining companies like Cipher Mining. I don't know about Hive as much. It's a low priced Bitcoin mining company as well, but you're starting to see money flow into these companies. And the center of these guys' existence is NVIDIA. And I believe that will continue as well. So this market is, in my opinion, narrowing more and more and more. And it's going to drive this market higher, the very select few companies, into the end of the year. Now, we've talked about the credit blow up, some issue there. I still believe that's going to happen. But right now, between now and the end of the year, you're going to see a push, and a lot of it's going to be concentrated into data development, data center development, miners converting over to data center operations and cloud computing. It's just very narrow market at this point. And I just look at this kind of stuff and I go, I mean, $100 billion deal isn't a drop in a bucket, right? That is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes, and the more we demand on data centers. Bob, to your point of what, 2, 3 weeks ago, it's about energy. And I do believe that it's a tail end of the dog waving, wagging his tail kind of thing. Energy has to come into play at some point in time. But right now, what I'm seeing is this market is so narrowly driven. It's driven by AI, it's driven by data center development, and eventually it's going to trickle into these other elements, these smaller companies, and we're already seeing it with Cipher Mining and many others. We get into the first of the quarter, fourth quarter, we're going to potentially see some volatility. I was asked, are we going to see pain today? I think this market is so pinned when it comes to the options market with Gamma. Dealer Gamma is so pinned. It's narrowly trading. We are only seeing some little upside on the S&P, a little change in the upside, but less and less downside potential. So I see more going forward. The options market is so big. I was watching a documentary um, on Jim Simons last night and about how options and derivatives have come into play so much. It's suppressing volatility, and in the end, if you're not paying too attention to what's happening in options, you're missing out. And I think that's more and more we're going to see that come into play. We're going to see more narrowing of this market until it recorrects itself. But I do believe I am bullish for the remainder of the year at this point. But I do think there's enormous opportunity in the trickle down effect of AI and data center into energy, into the heating or cooling systems, servers, that kind of thing. Just the nuts and bolts of it all. So that's my speech today.
I'm
Let's
not
open it
saying
to
that
floor.
I'm negative on the growth and everything. All I'm saying is sooner or later they're going to run out of power. They're not going to have power, and it takes 4 to 5 years to build a power plant, not 1 year, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're looking at 4 to 5 years each infrastructure. I just don't see it. I think we're going to catch up with data centers, and it's going to come to a halt. And I think for the next year or two, we're going to be fine. But I think after that, it's going to throw up a lot of question as to how they power these data centers. And the deal with NVIDIA, my feeling and my angle on that is that's the only way he's going to get chips, is that they're kicking back to NVIDIA. And that's what's happening. And that's the same thing with Intel and all the rest. Who'd you say the other company was they made a deal with? I'm sorry.
So they just
OpenAI.
made it OpenAI
OpenAI.
today,
Yeah. And then
yesterday.
there was one before that. right? Well, CoreWeave, right? So it's the same thing. That's how they're gonna get chips, by including Jensen. If they don't
Yeah,
include him, you're
he's
gonna
the
have trouble
son.
getting him.
He is the son of the AI universe right now.
Right, right. He's the captain. He
Yeah.
owns the
And I
wheelhouse
mean,
right now, right?
Alibaba is trying to make an attempt at it. You're seeing China put restrictions
They
on,
all
or
are.
yeah, they're all trying to chip away at it. But it's one of those things, like you said, in my opinion, you're going to run into the energy issue. Eventually, there's only so much, you need so
Right.
much power to generate, for what, 4 or 5 million GPUs to be running. I mean, that's enormous. And you
It's
got to put
already
it
a
in a part of
problem.
the country where there's energy. And that's why you're seeing it's possibly showing up in Texas.
So my
But
power bill in New Jersey, in my manufacturing part, the bill has almost doubled now for
it's
power.
probably going to double again in the
Because,
next year.
right, exactly the point. And it's going to put a strain on businesses. And those data centers are going to cost more. And that cost is going to come down to everybody accessing that data on a monthly basis. So it's going to get expensive, is my point.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
like it
and
already has.
What's that?
Sounds like it already has.
It
It's
has,
double.
but
Yeah.
it's not untouchable, but it does raise your eyebrows, With the first month of summer, I saw my bill go up 33%. And then it's gone up to 50%. And this recent bill has almost doubled.
You
It's crazy.
need to turn your air conditioner from
Turn your AC
60,
off. That helps.
62 up to 78.
You got to run machines, you know. You got
I'm
to
just
run
yeah.
joking.
computers and data, and you got to run machines to push product out, and it costs money. Those three-phase machines, they cost money to run them. But at the end of the day, it's going to get ridiculous for the homeowner too,
It
because they're
already
gonna
has.
start
Already
screaming.
has. Already has. Look at
I'm
your
not saying,
electric bill.
But
yeah, I walk around my neighborhood and I see the lights out now. That they used to leave their lights on and that's outside the garage and everything for safety reasons and everything. No, they're shutting them off all at night now. They think they're saving, $2.
or your neighborhood safer.
There's nothing you can
It's
do
at
about
Bob's house.
carjackers that come into nice neighborhoods. You know,
Yeah.
No, I
I
noticed that
think
we got one of these data centers about 10 miles from me, an Amazon one coming up. I just, it's only going to employ 40 people, taking up half a county, in space, and it's on the Lincoln power system, not mine, but it will affect mine at some point. But once those people start getting their power bills, that 40 jobs and all that tax incentive stuff that they gave Amazon is not going to look as good as it was presented.
and you also know that this deal that Altman made with NVIDIA is to throw a knife at Elon.
Elon.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that was the double-edged Elon knife. But he was probably killing him. Elon was probably killing him, and he figured this was his only last trump card, right?
Right. I mean, either way, take that out of it, you're still going to see this massive build out in this area. And where it will halt is when you say, I can't run my business because my electric bill is 10 times what it was 2 years ago.
Agreed.
And what, 3 times? Okay. So, me as a consumer, a residential person, and I see my electric bill go from what, 180 something a month to, 500, 600, that I'm going to start screaming. And eventually the pressure on government to regulate that or to change that up is going to be so
Well,
intense.
that comes down to affordability, is what you're talking about. A lot
Yeah.
of households can't afford,
Nope.
a $500 bill. There'll be a lot of shut-off notices. going on.
67%, 67% of the country live paycheck to paycheck, Bob.
Right,
And if you get a,
exactly.
yep.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Right.
you know, and what's it? 80% of the working force doesn't have $500 to pay
Yep.
a bill that comes in today, right? To
Well, and
cover.
a majority of people are stretched on their credit limit too.
Well, then we can get all the way back to the education that people get in regard to their money starting in elementary school and high school. So we could
What
discuss
education?
this
There's no
to doubt that
education.
this
Right.
isn't money is not as part of the high school or even college education. Isn't people are not taught how to manage their money or do anything with it.
No.
But in
And
regard to the
Still
nuclear
today.
reactors and with electricity, with the small modular reactors starting to come out, initial costs and startup costs, of course, are going to be expensive. But once they get settled and in place, and because they are smaller and they can be scattered all throughout the United States, I think after those get developed and get in place, and the longevity that you have with the nuclear fuel, I think prices will settle out, and over the longer term, your prices will perceivably come down based on normal market conditions.
But
I,
here's
I think the lead time for those
if you're
units are going to
talking
be long.
nuclear, if you're
The-
talking nuclear, how many nuclear power plants have been built in the last 10 years in this country?
Right. Well, we're not discussing those types of nuclear power plants like 3 Mile Island, nor are we discussing the ones that they have with TVA over there towards Knoxville. I'm not discussing those larger ones. These smaller modular reactors are much smaller facilities. There'll be more of them, and they'll be scattered across the United States.
The lead time on those is a while though. They're
No,
not
the
talking
lead
till
time
next
is
year.
now because they're being installed now.
Yeah, I have different information in that. I wasn't aware. I thought they're being installed next year for Oklo and SMR and so forth. That's what I understand.
Well,
But okay.
take a look at what Nano's doing, because they're one that I've been following. There's also probably 20 or more SMR companies across the U.S. I think about 3 of them are higher visibility, if you would, like Nano. I can't remember the other 2.
Well, Oklo's the biggest in terms of market cap, but they don't have anything deployed. It's their technology is the most favored out of all those modulars.
Right.
And SMR is second, so I don't know. I see Nano trades well and so forth, but
Well,
I don't,
SMR is
yeah.
just short for small modular reactors.
Well, that's what we're talking about, right?
Of course.
Right.
But I
SMR,
was also
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was also discussing the companies that are deploying them.
Exactly. They all have different technologies. Like the SMR one only lasts 2 years and then it has to be traded, it needs to be rebuilt. And the other Oklo can last up to 10 years. They're all like, I'll say, planned technologies, but they're not proven and we don't know who's going to win her. So I guess
The,
Well,
my,
if
my
it's
only,
only 2 years,
the,
Paul,
the
what's the
information that I'm
application?
hearing is that they can easily go 40 years or longer with with the nuclear fuel that they use, and they can also use some of these larger nuclear plants. And I have to double check
Hmm.
what I recall that I saw, because it's been a week or two, that they'll be able to take some of that fuel. In other words, they'll be able to take from what would typically be a larger plant, they'll be able to take their fuel and use it.
that's Oklo. See, you see, it's so scattered out there, the narrative, that each company or each modular push is different in technology. We have no idea who's going to be the winner
Well,
because they're
what's
not
the
proven yet.
application, Paul, for a
These are modular
2-year?
nuclear plants.
Oh, I have no issue if they're
Yeah.
about 4 winners, quite frankly. It's nice that it's
Me too.
no, in all seriousness, it is
Yeah.
nice to have several different entities, if you would, have slightly different ways of doing something.
Oh yeah.
In my
Awesome.
line of thought.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just saying it, neither of them has been proven to be the one that's gonna replace your typical, old style utility
Well,
plant. I mean,
the
it's
other
gonna be a
element is,
technology that slowly comes into place, and it's not, there's no clear winner, and there's still kind of in the, let's try me type stage, that's what my only point is. We have to be mindful of that. We're not gonna see
well,
that the prices are gonna come down in utility bills as a function of these nuclear reactors for a while. That's all. That's my only point.
No,
Steve,
I'll concede
Steve,
that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
Yep.
But at least this is on the horizon. It's being pushed out. They're working through the regulation, a regulatory process.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
I like the idea from a national security um, concept or idea. What I can't think of the right word here,
No, I
but
love
for it
what
to
you're
be
saying, Steve.
scattered throughout
Yeah.
the U.S. versus having,
Traditional.
say, 10 strategic places that a foreign entity might want to bomb, quite frankly.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's so
well,
many good things to be said about this whole new technology,
hey,
and I'm
hey,
glad you're talking
Steve,
about it.
Yes,
Steve, I just pulled up like small modular reactors, SMRs,
right.
and they, according to what I've just pulled up, it says typically produces up to 300 megawatts of electricity per module. How many modules would be in a like one location? So for let's just take, for instance, Elon's location in Memphis, million GPUs. I don't know what it's drawing in energy or anything like that. How many modules are these? How big are the modules, and how many modules is it going to take to power one of these mega data centers?
Before or
Do
after
you know?
the local community thieves the things away from it.
Well, you're right. Well, if the local community allows it, that I think is also, I mean, who wants a nuclear power plant of any size in their backyard?
Now,
Um,
Memphis would take something like that. They would. They've already, I believe, Elon's
so
got a plant over there. I think Amazon's pushing something over in across the river over in West Memphis.
okay.
So
So I
there's going
guess,
to
well, how
be
many megawatts are we talking for one of these mega centers?
that's a good
Um,
question. That gets starts getting into
how many megawatts?
much that gets into data that I have not reviewed.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I'm
I
actually
couldn't tell you what a city like Memphis would require, including the data center. But I'm thinking initially some of these things are going to come in just for the industrial parks and take care of the industrial parks. Because oftentimes, at least with my interaction with industrial parks over my lifetime and putting in servers and network equipments and having to deal with
uh-huh.
brownouts and things like that, if you had
Yeah.
something in a that would service a park, an industrial park, that frees up everything else for all residential and commercial outside of that.
Hmm.
So that's where I perceive that's going to be
Yeah.
implemented first, is to take care of the larger industrial facilities, i.e., um,
Well,
the
it
data
probably comes down
centers.
it probably comes down to who has the money to put it up to pay for it.
Well,
So
a
it'll
data
be
center,
the Elons of the
right? But a data center will have
world.
that. But if it follows just like most all uh, our industrial revolution back in the late 80s or 1800s, early 1900s, you had people like you had the industrialists who would build and do things first. Once that got implemented, once they got their stuff done and your testing was proved, then it rolled out to more residential and to cities to for their use. So there's always a flow from a larger corporation like a US Steel might be doing something. Once it's proven effective, once it's working, then it's implemented in other areas throughout the US.
Yeah.
So that's the way I would perceive it.
Yeah.
LeBrian's talking about Memphis. You want to pop on here, LeBrian, and talk a little bit? I think you're from Memphis, aren't you, LeBrian? You want to get in? Are you there? You unmute? No, he doesn't want to talk. Brian, are you there?
Yeah, he said to me, he said the Memphis residents are pushing back on development due to the threat of pollution. The development in Knoxville
Yeah,
is
I'm
all
not in a
systems
position to
go.
talk.
There he is. There he is.
Yes.
So are
Yeah,
you
I'm not
from
in a
Memphis?
position to talk. But yeah, I was just saying that Memphis residents, I'm from Nashville. Memphis
Nashville.
residents are pushing back. It'll probably be developed, but residents are pushing back on it because of the threat of pollution. But the one in Knoxville is definitely a go. Um, you can see some articles on that. The governor was there to, I guess, make it official. So,
You know, my
Okay.
friends over in
Thank you,
I'm
Aaron.
in Nashville as well. My friends over in Memphis have no clue about any of it. Um, and that's okay. Now, Knoxville being so close to Oak Ridge and their familiarity with or their I mean, there's still stuff going on in Oak Ridge in regard to power and that sort of stuff. And they see themselves as the engineering portion of the state. Yeah, I can see Knoxville embracing this very quickly, and their whole city is expanding very quickly. Memphis, I hope they embrace it, but I mean, you never know.
Here's the thing. The other elements I think we don't think about when you about when you somebody puts a data center in. One is energy, two is water supply to cool these things, depending on most likely that's how they're cooling them. But noise. I mean, I gotta believe there is noise, some level of noise pollution in Memphis now that has gone up. I can't believe they've,
Just Beale
deafened the
Street,
sound of it. What's that?
well, just
just
from
Beale Street.
a infrastructure standpoint, it is easier to develop it in the East Tennessee area versus Memphis, where it's more metropolitan. You got a lot more kind of residents that would be near the plant.
Uh,
Where it affects me is light. Because I live out in the country and they put one 15 miles south of me and they got lights burning all night. It looks like the sun's coming up all night. Looks like this. And it sucks because it takes away my sky now. So not only mine, but everybody in this part of the county now, all they see are the lights of this stupid data center.
Yeah, according to Grok, XAI is projected to exceed 1.5 gigawatts of power, and a SMR produces 300 megawatts. So that means, if I calculated this right, that's 50 SMRs that will be needed to eventually run XAI's data center in Memphis. Where are you going to put 50 of these things?
And how safe
I
are
mean,
these? Like
that's
people are gonna say, I want 50 of these in my backyard.
right. And you look at Abilene. I was in Abilene, Texas, spent some time with some friends in June who lived just 30 minutes outside of Abilene. There's plenty of space. There's plenty of, non-residential space in those areas. The question is, you build 50 of these things, and I don't know what kind of footprint these things take up, but eventually that's what it's going to need. If um, OpenAI is projected to build out 4 to 5 million GPU center, and Memphis is at 1 million right now, that's a lot. I mean, that's
But
what
that's what they're doing. They're pushing
200
back.
of these SMRs. I mean, like, holy shit.
But they're pushing back now, the residents. They're saying they don't want it.
I
Right?
wouldn't. It's 130,000 people live in Abilene. Would you want this
No.
light show going on every night in your backyard?
I
No.
don't want it. I don't want it in mine. And I got it every night. It's not even
Yeah.
open yet.
I think that's, Bob, to your earlier point about where is the plateau in this? Where is it's not just energy, but it's also people.
Right.
Which then I asked myself, well, who's going to make this much more efficient? Who's going to take all this demand in of AI down from 1 million GPUs or 5 million GPU center down
Yeah,
to a
but
500,000?
they're not
What
looking at
technology is
that.
going to lead that?
They're
Hmm?
not looking at that yet. They're just looking at building out,
Somebody is.
meeting demand, okay, to get AI up and running. And you're talking about 5 to 10 years to really plateau in the AI industry, right? That's my
Yeah.
feeling about it. But when does it hit the politicians? At what point do the homeowners or the people who live in the towns or the state start saying, hey, no more of this, right? Or you're out,
Yeah.
right? That's where the pressure comes.
Yeah.
Well, then that's a catch-22 from your argument earlier, Robert. If electrical prices are going up, and at the same time, those whose electrical prices are going up are saying, we don't want anything that's going to supply electricity, thus maybe reduce our prices coming in, then it falls right back on the residents. And I know I don't have to remind you, sadly, we vote for these idiots.
Yeah. No, you don't have
Hmm.
to remind me of
Nicely
that.
put, nicely
Thank
put.
you.
I mean,
Everybody has a friend, Steve.
yeah, I mean, we vote for them, and we don't. Okay,
Yeah.
getting up on my soapbox. We don't hold these people accountable and go back to them. Like our particular group here would probably be much more vocal and go to them and say, okay, wait, you said this, you did that.
Steve,
What's
don't take us down the political road. Don't
Steve,
be
Steve, that's the
don't mention this
normal,
to Kerry
Steve,
because we'll be in Washington next week.
that's the normal swinging door, right? It swings both ways.
Hey, well, remember from what I've been seeing lately, there's one side that does simply say that we all have free speech no matter what it is.
They both say that.
Oh, and I've heard that argument too. Well, both sides.
Like you said, it's an argument, and you know what? We're gonna get political, and let's not go there.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to
But
charts. Let's go to charts.
Let's go to those charts.
Yeah, we got a
And
few.
Mark,
Market,
before you
We're
hit the
gonna watch
chart,
this channel fall apart real
yeah,
fast.
Mark, before you hit the chart, I'll just mention to you that I moved from essentially closer to Nashville out into the countryside.
yeah.
So yeah, at this point, I walk out, I can see stars, I can see the constellations at night. I've got my telescope out. Uh, so I get what you're talking about when you've got stuff that comes up and obscures your sky.
Oh, yeah. And then when I built my house here in 1999. And I could go out on my back deck at night, and we have restrictions locally about night lights, so you don't have light pollution. If someone puts up a house and throws 10,000 lights up, we have restrictions, but none on this data center. And I used to be able to go out on my deck, and I realized we're progress, and I could see the Milky Way. I can't do that anymore.
Oh Lord.
I have to go up to the sandhills to see the Milky Way.
Because they're getting paid. That's why it passes.
No, I know why
They're
it's
getting their
happening.
kickback, man.
I know. Maybe if they kick back a little out here to the residents, then we wouldn't mind so much. But they're not.
That'll never
So
happen.
I know. I don't. The
They
way I
might get
look
a
at it,
reduction. To put one in, you may get an agreement to lower electric bills or kilowatt costs to the residents to put a facility in, but it's all about the politician in their pocket.
no, I agree. I agree. My electric system is not the one powering this data center, but I look
My
at things
point was,
logically. I
my
look at
point,
things.
oh, I'm sorry, I just want to make my point. My point was, where do we, and this is to you and Trent, because I've been thinking about this, where is the plateau? At what point do they say, okay, we climbed the mountain, however, we can't get to the next 1,000 feet because we have no energy? And what year does
Sure.
that actually peak out? I don't think these small units that they're talking about is the answer. Maybe an answer for residential areas and things like that. Not for these data centers. I just posted the power that these things need, and they're getting bigger. The units, the places they're putting up, they're bigger than what they are today. So
Yeah.
when does that happen? Because that's when stocks, before that point, that's when those stocks are all going to fall apart.
But I think it's starting, like what Steve's talking about now, what we're talking about. I think it's the conversation starting, if it hasn't already been going on for a while. You know, and this data center down the road for me does not benefit me one iota. Okay, I don't get anything out of it. I don't even think the city gets anything out of it because it's only 40 people going to work there. They gave them all this tax incentive financing to put it in, and they hooked it into their electric grid down there in Lincoln. Okay, I'm not on the Lincoln electric grid.
It doesn't,
I'm on a rural electric grid.
and
Okay,
it doesn't employ people. I mean,
no,
they may have 10 guys in there
right?
maintaining
40.
servers
There's
with
40.
headgear on,
Yeah,
but
and had that
that's
been
it. It doesn't employ like,
yeah,
a car plant or anything
right.
like that,
I would rather have a NVIDIA factory sitting down there myself than a data center.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be tomorrow's headline.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Oh, I
waiting.
gave it away. Damn it. I gave it away. I was just going to sign the contract today. I'm selling my property. It's going to
Your
be a
neighbor
data.
just sold his whole farm right next to you to NVIDIA. They're gonna build an Intel NVIDIA plant right next
That
door
would
to you.
be awesome because the infrastructure support that would make my land price go up and I'd be living down there with Bob in Palm Beach.
Come on down.
All right. Let's do a chart while we're here. Okay. Someone want to look at Applied Digital. We've opened up. Applied had a nice big candlestick, no resistance other than sell orders up here at 2604. I always like to try to catch them here when you got the confirmation on the MACD and ride it up. Now you're into momentum territory. You're above the Bollinger. Can you ride this? Yeah, they could go 5 more candlesticks up. But again, I like to try to catch it down here. Other than that, but Applied's definitely got some momentum. SoFi. Let me get through this one. Same kind of thing. SoFi. I'm looking at where I would probably have gotten in, but again, nice run on SoFi. Right up on the Bollinger Band. Now you're here 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably going to pull in a little bit. Well, actually, we are because this is live right here. And again, nice run up on momentum. And Soundhound. Soundhound, same kind of way. I had to look at the chart like this. My trading guidelines, looking at MACD, hop in at this point here, still rolling, rolling, rolling. I like it. It goes along the Bollinger Band, but now you're up against a little bit of sell orders at 19 or 1827. So if you can get past that, I think we'll probably pull back in. But your main line of resistance is at 2046. Wolf. I think Esther said Wolf has a deal with Google. Wolf's pulled up, 4 or 5 days right along resistance, and 9's coming up, starting to roll a little bit. Just watch it. You had this big old gap right here, sideways, back up on Wolf. Cypher. This is Trent's, which he's done a really good job. Look at that thing roll. Okay, it's still hitting a little resistance up here where the sell orders are, but I don't mind them as long as they're riding the Bollinger Band and we have, the slow stochastics in the 80s on both the percent D and the percent K, which is what we have. That's what Ira Epstein calls embedded. And then if you want to look at that, of course, you got to look at Iran. And again, a lot of these Bitcoin, and look at that, Iran still inside. You see these come up, they come back over, catch some more support and bounce up, come over, catch some more support, roll up. You can see that pattern quite a bit in Iran. And that's it. Whew. Okay.
Good discussion.
Linda says water prices as well, which is correct. No backyard gardens. Steve says water never used, sees the municipal water plants. Big chip plants process their own water, recycle it. Okay, yep. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah, but you're still drawing on the water system.
You are, yeah. And see, that's a big deal out here where I live on when you got irrigation and your main economy is agriculture, and you have things like irrigation you got to do every year. There's a lot of fighting between states and counties and things on rivers and lakes and who owns the water and what, who gets what, and this is just another something that gets going to be put into that puzzle right there for water rights.
And we do have this thing called rain that I'm familiar with. I've heard about
We've-
it before.
We've had a lot of it here. It rained last night, so we've had a good year for rain where I'm at. Not always the case.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. Should be a interesting day. Possible
Always is.
pullbacks a little bit, but I think overall we're still on a trending higher in the long run for the intermediate term.
I want to thank everybody for this conversation. I'm glad Steve and Robert, Paul, and Brian and everybody gets involved, because it makes it so much more fun for me and Trent when you guys pipe in and we get to hear your views and where you're from. Because I'm not from Tennessee. I would have not known anything about what's going on, or up where Bob's at in New Jersey and what's going on up there with electricity. And I think that's the kind of cool thing about these Monday meetings. And so sometimes we deviate from kind of our agenda, but that's fine with me. So I really appreciate you guys piping up and getting involved in these discussions, because Trent and I, although we're brilliant, we're really boring to listen to.
Yeah. My wife says I'm brilliant. I mean, so
Hey,
it's
between me
really
and you.
great.
That's
It's
between
really
me and
great. Yeah. It's really great that you guys confirm that for us. Hey, I can hear her now. You're such a genius. All right, we'll let you go. You guys have a great day. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place. And
Same bat channel.
exciting things.
Yep.
Exciting
All right.
things. All
Thank
right.
you
All right,
guys.
thanks
so
a lot.
much.
Thanks,
Really
guys.
appreciate you
Thanks
guys.
a lot,
All of
guys.
you guys.
Bye.
Make a lot of money, guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Live loud.
Bye.
Peace.